Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name is a ridiculously long title and
It's a sentence.
oddly specific to what's going on in this game. So this is like Yakuza 7.5, which is 8.5 if you count zero. There's a lot of Yakuza games. Yeah. Or Like a Dragon, as we call them now. This game is back to the brawler style. So Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is 7, was turn-based, and that's what Infinite Wealth will be coming out in January. But this is kind of this weird side thing. So I'm going to try and talk about it without spoilers as much as I can, but Like a Dragon is this huge, decades-long running story at this point, and this is very much a continuation and a tie-in to stuff, so I'll try and reference it without spoiling it. But basically what this is at the end of Yakuza 6, Kiryu basically disappears, who is our main character of the series, and then basically says, yep, I'm done, I'm out, call me dead, fake death certificate, all that kind of stuff, I'm gone, I will not contact or talk to anybody the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yakuza 7 then switches over to Ichiban, and pretty much ignores Kiryu, we'll just leave it there.
Sure, yeah.
And so you kind of get this feeling like, okay, Like a Dragon, we're starting over, so then this game gets announced, and it's basically like, oh yeah, no, Kiryu is doing some stuff still after that whole ending there. So,
how do you feel about that? Just as a Yakuza player, like I know because I know we talked about 6 like a long time ago. It's like a pretty good send off because it's almost like it's pretty separate from the rest of the Yakuza games, and really kind of gives a nice definitive stamp on Kiryu's story. How'd you feel about? Because I know you're kind of teasing with some stuff that happened in 7, but like this is like really reopening that. Like, how was that as a fan? Were you yay, more Kiryu? Or
it felt very bad at the beginning, and that's kind of what the theme of this game is it feels very bad at the beginning. By the end of it, I'm very good with it. It's kind of where I am. Okay. I would say like it's about 10 hours. It's a much shorter game. Kind of, again, it's like that halfway game, that like just little in-betweener. Like, here's what Kiryu was up to, because Kiryu is on the box art for Infinite Wealth. So obviously he is okay and he comes back.
Yeah.
But it's kind of in-betweener. So it's only 10 hours long. The first 6 hours, wasn't feeling it. The last 4 hours... Ooh, that's good Yakuza stuff right there. That's good Like a Dragon stuff right there.
Sure.
Initially, I kind of was like, ugh, what is this? What is this? So to kind of get into the setup, at least here, what happens is you meet up with Kiryu, who's now using the name Joryu, because he can't be Kiryu anymore, because he said, oh yeah, I am dead. Kiryu is no longer with us. And basically what you find out is that the group at the end of 6 that he made this deal with is essentially blackmailing him into being like an agent for them. So like, hey, we need you to go, and the first one is like, go run protection. And up to this point, it's basically like kind of assumed that, it's just been like, hey, like we need a bodyguard for this person. Hey, can you just watch out for this person for a couple of days? It's been that type of stuff. At this point, basically what's happening is there's some Yakuza involvement, and they go, well, the Dragon of Dojima would be able to help us with the Yakuza stuff. Like, of course.
Sure.
So then, of course, you get tied into the Yakuza stuff. My favorite part is 20 minutes into this game, you meet up and you're fighting this Yakuza group, and they go, you're Kiryu, aren't you? And he's literally like, I'm not. I don't know who that is. And that is a running theme for probably 95% of this game, is just like, Kiryu, what are you doing here? I thought you died. He did die. I'm not him. I have no name.
Oh,
like he leans
gosh.
hard into it, because basically what these people are doing is they're blackmailing him, and like, if you actually reveal what's happening, they a couple times are like, here's the live feed of your orphanage that you've run and like have this relationship with all these kids. Like, here's the live feed of it with our people standing outside of it. So he's like, I can't like admit it, or they'll do.
So even Kiryu knows it's kind of stupid, or
yes, but he doesn't really play into it too, and it's very odd. Let's just say it's very odd.
Yeah, Kiryu's like the straight man of the series. I always have like mixed feelings about Kiryu in general.
Yeah. It is brawler gameplay, so you have your dragon style. You have 2 styles in this, which if you play the Judgment games, which have kind of adopted the brawler style, they're normally 3 or 4, so it's a little bit more compact there. You've got Kiryu's normal style with your heat actions, that normal thing. The second style is what's called Agent, And this is
Yeah.
where they got a little goofy with it, is basically because he now works for this like shadowy government organization. He has all these like secret agent gadgets. So you have the one you start with that they showed off a lot was like you have a watch that has a big like rope that shoots out of it and you can rope up enemies. At one point you can like hit your watch to call in drones to attack people as just these like little things. It very much feels like Spider-Man, where you're like, oh yeah, I have these little gadgets I can like throw in here in the middle of combat. And it's just, honestly, I ignored 95% of them. I wasn't.
Oh, that sucks.
I just kind of fought in like the normal Kiryu way because I missed that. But it's there. It's different. That's kind of one of the changes here. But
is this whole game just kind of like set up for 8? Does it feel? I mean, at this point, did it feel necessary, or like in 8, we'll really figure out why this game was necessary?
We'll have a video on it too. But I played the Infinite Wealth demo that you unlock at the end of this, and for where, and again, I don't know where in game that actually takes place, but to get Kiryu from where he is in 7 to where he needs to be in 8, I think you either needed, and the devs actually hinted at this, like we either had like a 45-minute cutscene or this game. We chose this game. And you definitely needed something just because in 7, and this game does spoil 7, they like pull the cutscene straight out of 7 and just pluck them in this game in a few instances. Because in 7, it's basically kind of just, oh yeah, there's some Kiryu stuff still. And then in 8, when you start the demo, it's like, oh no, like he's clearly been through some stuff. And
gotcha,
kind of that connection there.
Oh, so real quick, so 7 is kind of like that Kiryu who may or may not be in 7 is kind of like 6 Kiryu, and then 8 Kiryu is like punish Kiryu, and we had 10 hours of game to explain why we have punish Kiryu sort of thing.
So 8, again, we'll have a video on 8 later, but 8, the setup is basically this is another job. 8 is another job for Kiryu that he's going on for these people. So this is giving you the backstory of why he's doing these things when 6 ended with him presumed dead. I think we can kind of say it at this point. 7, he has a cameo in.
Yeah.
if you haven't figured that out yet. But basically explaining that cameo in 7. So it's interesting. It does take place concurrently with 7. So again, like I said, there's some cutscenes in there that kind of go along with it. But I kind of want to talk about the ending of this a little bit, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but this, you said that part of your thing with 6 was that you felt like it was just this very definitive end to Kiryu's story.
Yeah.
It's not. This is. Like, this game almost makes me more irritated that he's an 8 because of just kind of the way that this ends. It's like, because 6, you kind of get that rap of like, okay, like, he's like begrudgingly ending his Yakuza career. Is kind of the feeling you get in 6. Like, he's walking away because he's done. In this, you very much get the, like, okay, like, emotionally, he's in a place where this is what he wants. In terms of what's happening, this feels like a send-off to, like, his story, more so than 7. Because 7, and again, just, I can't talk about it without kind of talking about the plot of 7 in this. Part of the plot of 7 is basically that the Yakuza decide to disband. They can't do it anymore. The government's basically breathing down their neck. They're throwing them all. The Yakuza can't exist anymore with what's happening in Japan. And you see that through Ichiban's eyes in 7. It's a much different feeling seeing it from Kiryu's perspective. Because
that's like his whole...
Because that's his... I mean, it is Ichiban's too, but you've spent hundreds of hours at this point with this thing. So seeing that whole story take place from his perspective is super interesting. And just the way that he handles it is very, very cool. There's, references and things like that to other games and other people he's interacted with and things like that. It's just, it's very much this send-off to Yakuza, and it really does feel like now's the hard transition to, this is like a dragon. There is no more Yakuza that we're dealing with. We are now just telling the story of these couple people.
Oh, interesting. I mean, that all sounds way more interesting.
I mean, I love 7. 7 is a better game than this, but...
Well, 6 was weird with Kiryu because 6 is like, it's like a different, it's like a totally separate story with like a totally different cast. It's not even, I think it's a Kamurocho for like a very, very small portion of it.
No
like,
Kamurocho in this.
Not in yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You go to Sotenbori and Yokohama, and that's most of it. And so
is the Yakuza 7 map kind of thing?
It's a tiny chunk of the Yakuza 7 map, and I don't remember what game you go to the other one in. I know you're in it in 0. Gotcha. It's the one where Mashima has like the grand club and everything.
Is it the big crab in it? There's like a big.
Maybe.
Never mind.
It's one with the river running through it and the bridges. It's
Yes,
in Zero.
yes.
It's in Zero.
Yeah.
I know it's in another one, but I can't remember. I think maybe it was in 7 for a minute. I can't remember. But anyway, just the ending of this, it is the send off in my mind to Yakuza as we know it. Transitioning again, having played that Infinite Wealth demo, transitioning into that very much feels like a different set of things than what we were ever dealing with before. And just to wrap this up, this has what I'm gonna say is arguably the saddest moment of any game ever. At the end of it, like literally there's like a 5-minute scene that like I was just like, why is this in here? This is depressing. Like what? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like it is so sad. It is amazing and perfect and flawless and fits in perfectly. But it is just like, whew, okay. It is this like culmination of so many things for Kiryu, and it's just one moment. It's just, and if you play the game, when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it hits like a freight train. It's like, oh man, okay. But
interesting.
It's definitely, I think it very much, when you start it, it feels kind of like that, kind of like, ugh, whatever. But by the end, it is very much a must play for anybody who's played Yakuza games throughout the years. It's a very odd game. It's definitely not one of the best Yakuza games. Definitely not one to start with, but it is a really, really well done kind of halfway side story thing.
Nice.
But we are Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below. We try and get new videos up every Monday, and we will see you later.
Bye.